Good morning. Today we reflect on James Clayton Dobson Jr., a man whose life would shape American faith and culture. His journey began long before he became a household name, rooted in the traditions and values of his family and community. Born April 21, 1936, in Shreveport, Louisiana, Dobson was raised in the heart of the Christian Nazarene Church. The rhythms of Southern life and the close-knit bonds of his hometown would leave a lasting impression on him. His father, a traveling evangelist, and his mother, a devoted homemaker, filled their home with prayer, scripture, and a strong sense of purpose. The Dobson household was a place where faith was not just spoken, but lived out daily. Dobson was an only child, surrounded by generations of ministers, which instilled in him a deep sense of calling. Family gatherings often centered around discussions of faith, service, and the responsibilities that came with their beliefs. Life was modest, shaped by the realities of a traveling ministry and the faith of everyday Christian families. The Dobsons moved frequently, adapting to new towns and congregations, but always carried their faith as a constant anchor. He learned the language of faith not in classrooms but in revival tents and church pews. These early experiences exposed him to the power of community worship and the importance of spiritual leadership. This upbringing forged his values, discipline, respect for authority, and the centrality of the traditional family. The lessons of obedience, hard work, and compassion were woven into the fabric of his daily life. The convictions of his Louisiana childhood would become the foundation for his national influence. The small-town values and unwavering faith he learned as a boy would guide his future work and message. Dobson's roots in faith and family never left him, even as he rose to prominence. No matter how far his influence reached, he remained grounded in the principles that shaped his earliest years. The boy from Shreveport would one day speak to millions, but he always carried the lessons of his early years: humility, conviction, and a steadfast commitment to faith and family. After his Southern upbringing, Dobson pursued higher education with unwavering determination, driven by a desire to make a meaningful impact. Growing up in a close-knit community, he was instilled with strong values and a sense of purpose that would guide his journey. At Pasadena College, Dobson not only excelled academically, but also thrived as an athlete, balancing rigorous studies with his passion for sports. It was here that he met Shirley Deer, who would become his lifelong partner and greatest supporter. Their shared faith and commitment to service laid the foundation for their future together. Dobson's academic journey continued at the University of Southern California, where he earned a doctorate in child development in 1967. This achievement not only marked a personal milestone, but also equipped him with the expertise that would shape his future ministry and influence generations to come. For more than a decade, Dr. Dobson built a respected career in psychology and pediatrics, working at both USC and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. His dedication to helping children and families earned him recognition among his peers and deepened his understanding of the challenges families faced. Through countless hours of clinical work, Dobson witnessed firsthand the real struggles of families. He saw how scientific knowledge, when combined with compassion and personal faith, could offer hope and healing to those in need. Over time, Dobson grew increasingly concerned about the decline of parental authority and the absence of biblically grounded guidance in mainstream psychology. He recognized a growing gap between professional advice and the spiritual needs of families. This conviction inspired him to make a bold shift from clinical practice to public advocacy for Christian family values. Dobson felt called to address these issues on a larger stage, reaching beyond the walls of his office. He began offering counseling and workshops for Christian families, merging his psychological expertise with scriptural principles. These efforts provided practical tools and spiritual encouragement to parents seeking guidance. Dobson's unique blend of professional authority and deep faith resonated with a Christian audience eager for trustworthy advice. His message offered clarity and reassurance in a rapidly changing world. With a clear vision and a growing platform, Dobson was ready to speak, and millions were ready to listen, setting the stage for a new era in Christian family advocacy. In 1977, Dobson made a bold move, founding Focus on the Family with his wife Shirley. Operating from a small office in California, their mission was to provide practical, biblically based advice on marriage, parenting, and social issues. The ministry's radio program quickly became its flagship, offering straightforward advice and spiritual insight. Focus on the Family's authenticity struck a chord, and its influence grew rapidly. By the early 1990s, the organization had hundreds of employees and a sprawling campus in Colorado Springs, transforming the city into a hub for evangelical activism. Focus on the Family became a media empire, producing magazines, books, and the beloved Adventures in Odyssey series. All of it was built on Dobson's vision to strengthen the family. Dobson's daily radio broadcast was the engine of his influence, propelling his ideas into the homes and hearts of listeners across the nation. Each episode was carefully crafted, blending practical advice with a sense of moral clarity that resonated with families seeking guidance. Focus on the Family aired on thousands of stations, reaching millions worldwide. The program's reach extended far beyond the United States, with translations and rebroadcasts in dozens of countries, making Dobson's voice a global presence. His calm, authoritative voice became a trusted source of guidance for families. Listeners tuned in not just for advice, but for reassurance and a sense of belonging to a larger community of shared values. Dobson was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2008, cementing his status as a media pioneer. This honor recognized not only his broadcasting achievements, but also his impact on American culture and family life. As an author, he wrote over 70 books, including bestsellers like Dare to Discipline and The Strong-Willed Child, shaping generations of parents. His books became essential reading for those navigating the challenges of raising children, offering both practical strategies and encouragement. Focus on the Family produced content for every age group, from magazines to the Adventures in Odyssey audio drama. The organization's creative output included newsletters, children's stories, and multimedia resources, ensuring that families could engage with their message in countless ways. Dobson's media network became a cultural force, reinforcing his message in homes across America. His influence was felt in living rooms, kitchens, and even classrooms, as his materials were shared and discussed by parents, teachers, and community leaders. He understood the power of media to build community and mobilize action. Through radio, print, and events, Dobson fostered a sense of unity among his audience, encouraging them to support one another and advocate for shared values. For nearly 50 years, Dobson shaped the national conversation on family and faith. His longevity in the public eye allowed him to adapt to changing times while remaining a steadfast voice for his beliefs. Supporters saw him as a reassuring presence, critics as a controversial figure. Yet, whether praised or challenged, Dobson's ability to spark debate and reflection was undeniable. But his reach was undeniable. His teachings permeated daily life for millions, leaving a lasting imprint on how families think, talk, and grow together. At the heart of Dobson's ministry were traditional family values, rooted in his interpretation of the Bible. He taught that the nuclear family, a married husband and wife with children, was the foundation of a healthy society. Dobson's complementarian view of marriage with distinct roles for men and women resonated with conservative Christians. He was a leading opponent of abortion and a vocal critic of expanding LGBTQ+ rights, positions that made him a central figure in America's culture wars. Dobson believed societal decay stemmed from the breakdown of the family unit and called for a return to biblical principles at home. His teachings on parenting, marriage, and morality formed a holistic vision for a faith-filled society. This unwavering focus was the key to his enduring appeal and controversy. Dobson's views on corporal punishment sparked fierce debate. His book, Dare to Discipline, championed spanking as a biblically sanctioned tool for raising obedient children. He insisted discipline should be firm but never abusive, offering specific guidelines to separate correction from harm. Critics argued that corporal punishment was harmful and outdated, at odds with modern child psychology. The controversy over spanking became a defining element of Dobson's public identity. Supporters saw him as a truth-teller defending biblical principles, detractors as promoting harmful practices. The debate highlighted deep divisions over authority, tradition, and the nature of childhood in America. Dobson's influence reached far beyond the airwaves. He became a political force. In the 1980s, he helped mobilize the Christian right, urging listeners to vote for candidates who shared their values. Dobson served as an informal advisor to 5 U.S. presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. He founded the Family Research Council, and co-founded the Alliance Defending Freedom, shaping policy on issues like abortion and religious freedom. Dobson was a demanding ally, unafraid to criticize Republican leaders who strayed from the conservative agenda. His endorsement was coveted, his criticism feared. He even considered a presidential run in 2000, underscoring his political clout. Dobson's ability to mobilize millions made him a kingmaker in Republican politics. Dobson's legacy is deeply polarizing. To millions, he was a spiritual giant and a defender of faith and family. Supporters credit him with strengthening marriages and guiding parents through modern challenges. They saw him as a man of integrity, standing firm on biblical truth. Critics, however, argue his rhetoric on LGBTQ+ rights was damaging and his advocacy for corporal punishment harmful. His political activism, they say, deepened divisions and blurred the line between faith and partisan politics. For some, Dobson's legacy is one of hope and stability. For others, it's exclusion and polarization. His efforts to legislate his moral vision are seen by critics as imposing a narrow worldview on a diverse nation. Dobson's impact is undeniable, but how it's judged depends on where you stand. Dobson remained active in ministry until the end, launching Family Talk after stepping down from Focus on the Family in 2009. He broadcast his final program just days before his death on August 21, 2025, at age 89. Dobson leaves behind his wife Shirley, 2 children and grandchildren. For nearly 5 decades, he was a defining voice in American evangelicalism. He built a media and political movement dedicated to his vision of the Christian family. Dobson gave voice to the anxieties and hopes of millions who felt their values were under threat. He offered reassurance, advice, and a sense of empowerment, convincing many that faith belonged in public life. Dobson didn't just lead a ministry, he galvanized a movement that reshaped American religion and politics. His legacy will be debated for years, compassionate pastor or divisive culture warrior. What's certain is the scale of his impact. Dobson left a powerful, complex mark on America.